Among the Fallen. Prologue. Wendell was reading the story aloud. It was an old story. He knew it by heart. After a while, lost in the flow of his remembrance, he no longer even glanced at the reed pad in his hand. Midway through the tale, he felt something wet and warm and viscous in his palm. Wendell opened his eyes and stared down at the reed pad. A thick red liquid oozed out of it, dripping off his fingers. He raised his hand to his face and inhaled. Wendell had been in the war a long time ago when he was still young, before he was Puka. There was no mistaking, though. He had never forgotten the smell of blood. "Are you all right, Grandpa?" said the child who sat beside him. There were two of them, a boy and a girl. The boy had spoken. "I'm sorry, children," Wendell smiled down at them. "I must have dozed off." "You were talking funny," said the girl. "It was the old tongue," Wendell said, "as we spoke it among the fallen." "But the old tongue is not allowed," said the boy. His voice trembled with fright. "We should report you, Grandpa," the girl admonished, looking suddenly very serious and grown up. "Are you going to report me, children?" asked Wendell, chuckling as if they were sharing a joke. "Oh, no, Grandpa," the boy said, shaking his head vigorously. "They would cut out your tongue." "Then how would you tell us stories?" asked the girl, wild-eyed and giggling. Wendell laughed himself awake. "What a strange dream," he mused aloud. There were no grandchildren, of course, never had been. There were no reed pads at the Abbey either. The Trier had seer bowls. They had no need of the screens and devices ubiquitous among the fallen. Wendell suspected this, like most of his dreams, was a summons, albeit not a clear one. He would tell his dream to Mother Wandalina when he saw her at Louds. Perhaps his superior would know what to make of it. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Through the windows he saw light flickering the sky. Wendell stretched out his mind to it until his awareness became another attribute of the storm, gathering it closer, savoring its energy. He shut his eyes against the strobing lightning bolt that for a single infinitesimal instant rendered the world outside his window naked and darkless. Wendell counted. 1, 2, and not quite 3 when thunder shuddered his cell louder than distance alone would allow, rattling the jars and pots on the shelves across the room. He felt the shift in the air, held up his arm as the next burst of heaven's fire limned the tiny silver hairs standing straight and erect across the back of his hand. This was no ordinary storm, he thought, but a deep tempest tumulting both the two worlds. After this blow, the between-way would be open and passable for at least a day, maybe several. Before he sought enlightenment from Wandalina, he reckoned he should gather all that might be needful for travel. She would not pass any opportunity to restore a fallen to the stream. Wendell sighed, threw back the blanket, and found his feet. He worlded himself enough to know the chill of the stone floor, but not to be distracted by it. He padded across to his brazier, removed the snuffer lid, and held his right hand low over the coals until they ignited, offering their almost invisible blue flame to the night. He took down a jar from the shelf, removed a spoonful of aromatic twigs, filled his cup from the water jar, and dropped it in the twigs. Careful to keep his hand present to the cup while absent to the fire, Wendell held the cup full of water and floating twigs over the coals until the twigs sank and the water began to steam.